Thank you very much, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow peacemakers who are meeting here in Uganda today in the Global Peace Conference. Yesterday, at the opening of this conference, we did say a prayer. And I remember the opening prayer was about the scripture that says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." In the breakaway session, we did not only have sons of God, we also had daughters of God. And the ladies asked where we had left them. But I did look at several scriptures, and the archbishops are here. I think there are scriptures that say son of God, but there are those that also say, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." And we do know there are many daughters of God gathered here today who are playing a major role in bringing about peace in their countries. We appreciate you too. I was very pleased also to hear that Dr. Moon, who is our visitor all the way from Korea, was visiting Uganda for the first time. And I must say that this country, Dr. Moon, is one of the most beautiful countries on the African continent. And that is why the British statesman Winston Churchill called it the Pearl of Africa. I hope you'll find time to visit different parts of this country while you are here after this conference. I have visited many parts, including Bale, where I have relatives. I've visited many other parts of this country, but last week, I visited a part of Uganda that I had never visited before, Your Excellency, Moroto. And I was hosted by my brother Musa, the Minister for Special Programs and Relief Services. And what the Vice President of South Sudan said a few minutes ago, His Excellency Taban Dengai, about Moroto cluster, having also a similar agreement as the one we had with Moyale. This is what we were working on last week, Your Excellency, and we were there for ministers from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. And we did agree on a framework where we can bring our communities together. And when you look at these communities, Your Excellency, the commonalities in terms of the challenges, their pastoralists, and their way of life makes it imperative that we bring them together. And while at this conference, I did talk about the absurdity of the artificial borders that were put by our colonial masters. And while I was talking, my brother Musa reminded me that the conference that we were attending had been co-sponsored by some of our friends from Germany, where the Berlin conference took place. So he told me not to talk too loudly about the matter. But, Your Excellency, when you look at the open grazing fields between Kenya and Uganda, between Mount Moroto and Mount Kadam on our side, the communities have been grazing there for time immemorial, and drought does not know boundaries. The pastoralists and the animals do not know boundaries. They look for pasture, they look for water. And across this open field, there's a small stone that says you are now entering Kenya. But as the pastoralists graze their cattle, they do not know what that stone says. They only know where the water is and the pasture. And it shows the absurdity of our borders. They are totally artificial, and we thank our brothers from Uganda for hosting our brothers from Kenya whenever we have drought on our side. The dams, we come for water on this side, and we are working on that framework, which very soon we'll have brought before our presidents and hopefully signed the way we did for Moyale and also for Mandera. But that's not what brought me here today, Your Excellency. What brought me here was to bring you warm greetings and best wishes from your brother, His Excellency President Kenyatta, and the people of Kenya. As you are aware, Kenya has been and remains a partner and a great champion of regional and global peace. Participating in this conference is an affirmation of our belief in peace as the foundation of political and socio-economic prosperity. Allow me to thank His Excellency President Museveni for hosting the Global Peace Leadership Conference and for extending this invitation to me and other regional leaders. I also take this opportunity to thank the Global Peace Foundation, the IGAD, the Private Sector Forum of Uganda, and the Interreligious Council of Uganda for coming together to make this event possible. I am delighted to join you here today at a time when our region is witnessing renewed hope in sustainable peace and security. I say this with great optimism because the combined efforts of the leaders in our region are beginning to pay off both at the intrastate and regional level. Our next level of interaction is the focus on improving the well-being of our people through increased economic activities, better security, education, youth and women empowerment, as well as addressing community development needs. Indeed, this Global Peace Leadership Conference 2018, under the theme Moral and Innovative Leadership, New Models for Peace and Development, could not have come at a better time. I am informed that it will explore innovative responses towards expressing and pressing for regional and international challenges, guided by shared vision, aspirations, principles, and values. Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall that the Kenya government partnered with the Global Peace Foundation to host the Global Peace Convention in 2010. This took place from 17th to the 21st of November in 2010. During this conference, delegates deliberated on the conflict resolution for peace and development. Since the Nairobi conference in 2010, the Global Peace Foundation has been working with educators and stakeholders in the education sector to transform and make it relevant in line with the challenges of the 21st century. I am well informed that the foundation has been working to promote character, creativity, and innovation. In Kenya, for instance, this has mainly been done in the public schools in Kenya to promote youth entrepreneurship through science and incubator spaces known as LEAP hubs. I applaud the impressive milestones achieved by the foundation. I was recently the guest of honor when the foundation partnered with young Kenyan scientists and others to launch the National Science and Technology Exhibition. Again, let me congratulate the founding chairman of the Global Peace Foundation, Mr. Eugene Preston Moon, for the good work his foundation is doing to promote global peace through the slogan and vision that we may be different in color, religion, ethnicity, race, name it. But in the end, we are all God's children, all one family under God. And for your information, Dr. Moon, the region where I was, I hope you'll be able to visit it. The Karamoja cluster that brings together the Toposo, the Turkana, the Karamojong, is what has been called the cradle of mankind. The oldest ancestor of man was found around this place. And recently, we did discover tools. The first signs of intelligence of mankind was actually also found around this place. The crude first tools of mankind was found here. So it's not only the cradle of mankind, this Karamoja region, but it is also the cradle of entrepreneurship and innovation. We hope you'll find time to visit it also. We decided as a nation that political disputes should not be allowed to define our national agenda. Our people suffer deficiency in service delivery and the much-needed economic development. It is for this reason that on March 9th, 2018, I reached out to my political competitor and brother, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and together we expressed our desire to set aside our differences and rebuild the Kenyan nation. You were there with us in 2010. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni led the team to bring about peace after the 2008 elections. But yet again, after our last election last year, on 9th of March, we had a handshake in Nairobi, and we decided to do this to make leadership responsive to our people in the urgent pursuit for prosperity, fairness, and dignity for all Kenyans. Unlike in 2007-2008, the peace pact that was signed then, which was mediated by the international community, and you did play a role, the handshake that culminated in Building Bridges initiative is different. We reached out to each other because we agree that elections should never herald suffering for the people who voted for us in good faith. After the election season, they look upon us to provide leadership in their pursuit for better prospects in life. Ladies and gentlemen, this handshake reaffirmed the belief that all challenges can indeed be solved if leaders open channels of communication and dialogue with one another. It is another lesson from Kenya which scholars and international peace practitioners may learn from. Indeed, one may say that the handshake has triggered a ripple effect right up to the Korean Peninsula, where we saw the handshake between President Trump and Kim in Singapore. Our brother from South Sudan has told us about the handshake upcoming in Khartoum, where our president will be attending soon. And recently also, we did see a handshake in our brothers meeting in Ethiopia and Eritrea, and deciding to put their differences aside and to work together for the good people of this region. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians will always find reason to disagree, but our nations must never be at the mercy of these challenges. As much as political competition is necessary, we must not overlook the driving agenda that we are all fighting for the good of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, peace allows us to focus on the bread and butter matters for the common man. At the moment in Kenya, my government is driving the Big Four agenda. For the next 4 years, our focus will be on food security and nutrition, provision of adequate housing, provision of universal health care, and supporting infrastructure and manufacturing to generate employment for our youth. This will not only benefit Kenya, but the region. And I believe, talking of infrastructure, the Ugandan government has done very well for the last 10 years. You can now drive from Kampala to Moroto. Your Excellency, when I arrived in Moroto, I saw a signpost to Kitale. And Kitale, when I asked, that is my hometown, Your Excellency. I had to fly from Nairobi to Entebbe, over 600 kilometers, then fly from Entebbe to Moroto, over 500 kilometers, to hold a meeting with my brother. And when I asked about the signpost to Kitale, they told me it's less than 200 kilometers. And I asked, then I should just have driven from home to Moroto. But Your Excellency, we have challenges of roads. We are doing our part on the Kenyan side. We know you're doing your part on this side, and it's part of what we'll be meeting to brief you about the Moroto Declaration. For today, thank you so much for listening to us, and God bless you all peacemakers.